This could be the most important thing when it comes to your handstand balance. It's our main controller. It's the center of our handstand. It needs to be fine-tuned for the skill that we're going for, whether it's a press handstand, a handstand push-up, a one-arm handstand, or kicking up for our first 10-second hold. The base of the handstand is so important. It's like the position we put our feet when we do a squat. It's how we balance on one leg. It's what's happening to the foot, to the ankle, the calf and the knee. The same applies for the base of the handstand. So it's the distance we have between our hands, the rotation both internally and externally, and the focal point. Now those things need to be changed depending on the skill we're working towards, our current mobility and ability, so our window of balance. And we need to take into consideration things like equipment. And getting this right can be the difference between balancing your handstand or unlocking that new skill. So let's first be realistic in terms of what you can do for your position. So if your mobility is not fantastic, when you place your hands above your head, especially when your hips are open as well, your position actually might look like this. So choosing a very narrow position for your hands is going to mean that your elbows are bent in the handstand. So your realistic position might be more like this, which is going to equate to a width like this. This could give us the correct setup to have straight, controlled position and not be trying to compensate for lack of mobility in the position. So a safe place to start for most people is slightly wider than their shoulders, and index finger pointing forwards. So that just gives us a nice position. We spread the fingers to make a big base that's very usable. We position the shoulders on top of the hands, and then we pick the focal point. Now the focal point is where we're looking in the handstand, and we want to try and make that the same throughout the setup, the kick up, and the hold itself. If we're starting to do this, it makes the base feel very unsteady and has a major impact to what's above. What we don't want to be doing is chasing our handstand back and forth. So if we can make the base super strong and consistent, it gives us a nice base that we can always kick up onto. We know where it is, even if I'm jumping into the position. And if the base is taking control, the legs can near enough do whatever they want to, and the base is the king. Exactly the same when we're standing on our feet. So that's just good general guidelines. Hands slightly wider than shoulder width, index finger forward, fingers spread, and a fixed focal point, somewhere between the index fingers or between the thumbs. Video yourself from the side, see what you're doing now, and then try some small changes and see how it feels. Now we can get a little bit more specific in terms of what skill we're working towards. So general balance around the shoulder width position, unless we're more advanced. If we're more advanced, if we have better mobility, the hands will start coming in closer together. So beginner's position is going to look more like this. Intermediate position is going to tend to come in closer. And then for people that are working things like one-arm handstands, we're going to come even closer together, pushing the elbows in. So now when I transfer weight to go into a one-arm handstand, I don't have far to move like I would do if I was in this position and I wanted to do a one-arm handstand. So don't get ahead of yourself. Match your current ability, your current mobility, and the skill you're working towards. So now in terms of the skills, what I'm talking about is in a normal balanced handstand, we're going to tend to go closer together. But for a strength movement, we're going to take the hands wider and externally rotate a little bit more. You can really feel this in something like a headstand position. So if I bring my hands very close together and place my head between my hands, this is probably a super dangerous headstand. Look, I'm nervous about going up. But if I take my hands wider, create some external rotation, take the head further forwards to create a bigger base of support for the triangle, now I'm super happy to go up in that position. So we want to get as close to that with the handstand as well. So external rotation, make you feel stronger, exactly the same as the leg position. We don't squat like this, we squat with external rotation. When we bench press, we talk about breaking the bar as you come up. So look at the chest, it sticks out as I break the bar into external rotation. If I do internal rotation, I've lost my chest. So we want that strong position. And the same goes when I do a handstand push-up. So external rotation, hands a little bit wider, up in that position. Now I feel strong to come down in that position, bringing the elbows in. So again, external rotation, and then back up again. So that's the same thing when we do a press handstand, external rotation, hands a little bit wider, shoulders come forwards. I'm there, it's easier to float in this position. I can go up. If I want to do a planche, hands already in the perfect position, externally rotated, and then I can come down to my planche position. So wider, turned out is normally the go for all the strength movement. But remember, same thing, consistency is key. If I'm doing 10 repetitions of my handstand push-up drill, every repetition, hand in exactly the same place, focal point exactly the same place before I go into the repetition. Whether that's freestanding or against the wall, exactly that same setup for every repetition. So for the intermediate to advanced, it's going to open up harder skills, or it's going to give you more repetitions per skill. For the beginner, really focus on this sort of thing. So when you first doing your kick-ups as a beginner, you have all your weight back into your legs and your hips. You're scared to kick up. Actually, you'd be this way, close to the wall. So in this position here, and you'd have way too much weight back in your feet. And then when you try and jump up, your base is so unconditioned that it's not ready to take any weight. So when you do kick up to the wall, you're nearly collapsing already. So building the conditioning, building the position of having lots of weight here and this base taking all of the control. So then my legs near enough float up and then the base is there in control 100% of the time. So video yourself, have a look at what you are doing, play around with some different positions to see if it makes a change. So have a look at this one, video yourself, see what you're actually doing, make a few adjustments, see how it affects your balance, time and your skills. Let me and Rosie know in the comments. If you're interested in coaching, check out my website or my app. Link is down in the description. I'll speak to you next time. Thanks guys.